My name is Elliot Soloway. I'm a co-director of the Intergalactic Mobile Learning Center, and Josh and I are here to show you LessonLauncher. And what you're about to see is the notion of blended learning and what kids are going to do with their computers using the blended learning platform. So picture, if you will, there are 30 students in the class. Each student has their own computing device, one-on-one, because that's the new normal. So let's say that each of them has a Chromebook. Okay, so each of them is going to have what you're seeing on the screen now, a roadmap run by the LessonLauncher. This particular roadmap is about thermal energy. It was written by a 6th grade science teacher, and you could think about all 30 children having this, each of them having it on their computer, and they're moving through these nodes, this lesson at their own pace. And what I'm now going to do is illustrate what happens as the students move through the roadmap. So you see here where it says Activity 1, Collaborify Reader. Okay, so I'm going to read something. I clicked on that node, and it says, launch this node to visit a website. Okay, well, I'll launch that node. And it's going out over the internet now, and if there's a URL that we've given it, that we've put inside that node, and this is going to be animation that...
Welcome to heat transfer, conduction, radiation, convection.
Thank you. This is from the Wisconsin website, and this is an OER, an example of OER, Open Education Resource. Okay, now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to the tabs in the tab bar, click on LessonLauncher, come back and cancel this one, and now I'm back to the lesson. So basically the way you navigate through the roadmap is by using the tabs in a browser. That's all that you have to know how to do. Now, after I read about conduction, it's over here, these are activities that the lesson wants me to do. Well, I'm going to click over here where it says Conduction Animation, Collaborify Flipbook. And it says, remember, your goal is to include captions and key terms like kinetic energy, conduction, radiation, to explain how these types of heat transfer work in the animation that you are about to create. So students, to show their understanding and to develop their understanding, create an animation in Collaborify Flipbook. Now, you can take a look at this screen. It's a little bit busy, but it's okay. You see the fire at the bottom, right here down at the bottom. That's the fire. Then there's a pan, and there's a clock on top of the stove. And the cold molecules start with a lot of blue, and there's just a few warm molecules. Now, I'm going to turn the animation on. You see the button here, Play Animation, and it's going to start to play. Screen 2, Screen 5, Screen 7, Screen 8. And you can see more warm molecules coming, and the time is going, and boom! You're going to get to 22 frames, and you're going to start all over again. And this is an animation that a youngster at 6th grade created to explain this notion of heat transfer. Now, the name of the app is Collaborify Flipbook. That's because it is a collabrified app. That is, 2 or more students can be working together in real time, synchronously, to create that animation. And in fact, in the classroom where this animation was created, the children work 3 to a group. So 3 children were involved in creating this animation. I'm going to stop it. And again, I'm going to go back to the tabs, go back to the LessonLauncher, cancel this instruction, and now continue on. Now notice up here it says Thermal Energy Review. Okay, so the teacher's going to ask a few questions. Make sure you answer in complete sentences, because you know students, they don't necessarily answer in complete sentences. So here are some questions in Collaborify Writer that the students are going to respond to. Now remember, this is a collabrified app, so that the children are going to work together, again, 3 of them. So what is conduction? So they wrote, conduction is heat transfer between substances that are in contact with each other. Okay. Here's another question. Describe how heat transfers when the burner is lit. It transfers from hot on the stove to hot on the pan as well. Now, students would start a sentence with it, right? And there's another sentence that starts with this. But you could see the students were working together to create their answers. Again, I'm going to go back to the LessonLauncher. And by the way, if I want to go back to any of the other things to read, for example, I could go back to this animation by simply clicking on the tab. But I'm going to go back to the lesson launcher, cancel this activity, and continue on. Now it says activity 2, and it wants me to do some more reading. Well, I'm going to launch this activity, and I want to show you this particular piece of reading. It's from Lowe's, the store. Well, the teacher found, because the teacher was doing some home improvement, found this website, and it has some very good description of heat transfer, textual description, a picture description. This is an example, again, of OER, Open Education Resource. It happens to be a store. Okay, come back to the lesson launcher at the top here, click on it again, cancel this. Now, I want to show one more app, and that's the concept mapping app. It's again Collabrified, and this says make a map of each type of energy transfer. Define each term and give an example of each type. Okay, so off we go to Collabrify Map, which again 3 students were working on. And I'm going to move that up just a wee bit. But you could see lots of nodes, and thermal energy is in the beginning, in the middle, and there's radiation, there's conduction, there's convection, there's vocabulary. They're using different colors. The fact that the nodes are filled in with some sort of color means that there's some content to it. So let's take a look at what conduction might have inside. Notes. Here is conduction is the transfer of heat between 2 substances that are in direct contact with each other. And good conductors, copper, silver, iron, and steel, etc. So there's content to each of the nodes, and I can tell that, the teacher can tell that, because the node has some color filled in. This is Collabrified again. 3 students worked on creating this. Back to the lesson launcher and this activity. So again, what you're seeing here is a lesson, a multi-day lesson that each student has on their computer, and they move through it. Some of the learning activities are Collabrified, so that means that the children will work together to do that learning activity. If you're interested, if we've piqued your curiosity, I suggest you go to IMLC.io, the Intergalactic Mobile Learning Center.io, and there you'll see some contact information. Send me an email, and we can talk, and I can help you, Josh can help you, get a lesson roadmap for your class. Thank you very much.